Okay, ladies and gents, welcome back to the workshop and part 6 of the RC Fugly build. This is a model that's been produced by Robbie Skipton of Skip Model Designs. If you watched the previous video, part 5, you'll know that we've been working on the wing. Well, the wing is now finished and I can show you it. All the woodwork has been completed, as you can see. I've hinged the ailerons ready to go, but obviously they're only slotted in there just for trial purposes, because we'll remove them when we come to cover the wing and the ailerons themselves. I've finished off the radius and sanded that down. I've put the little end block in there, which I mentioned in the last video, sanded that round. It's all quite neat now, so it's all ready to go for covering. Since I last spoke to you, I have completed the covering on the fuselage. This is the fuselage. This is the first time I've ever used this type of covering, the transparent stuff. It's only the cheap Hobby King budget film, but it's done a pretty good job really, and for the first time on this type of covering, I'm quite pleased with the results. So all that's now completed, as you can see. I've also joined the elevator halves and hinged those as well, ready to go. Simple joiner, wire joiner, 2mm steel wire, piano wire. I've epoxied that in so it's nice and strong. The thing to make sure of when you're joining elevators together like this is to do it on a flat surface, to make sure that you've got no twist between the two halves and everything is lying flat. That is absolutely important, because if you do get one side cocked up, with it only being balsa wood, it's very hard to twist it back without causing damage in the joining area there. So that's all ready to be covered. So I'll just put that to one side. I've already started covering the rudder. I'm using this transparent film again, using yellow to give it a bit of contrast. And as you can see, what I've done, I've put the first side on. I've ironed it all the way around the edge, and I haven't attempted to stretch it yet. This is because if I stretch it at this stage without having covering on the other side, it will just twist the framework. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to try and show you how to cover the other side quickly, and we'll see how we go. So I've already prepared a piece of covering. I've removed the backing film. So all we do is drop that onto our part. I'm obviously using a nice simple part to show you, because I don't want to take up too much video time. I've already shown this in a previous video. If you backtrack through the series of other models that I've made, you'll see how I've done it, but this is just repeating sort of old ground for you. But all we're going to use is a custom sealing iron. I've had this iron for like 40 years now, so it's doing really well. I always use a sock of some description. This is especially for my good friend Barry Lewis. He will have a little chuckle when he sees this. I've actually lashed out on a proper sock. So what we do, put the covering material over the wooden frame, and we just go around the edge very slightly. So we're not going to go mad. We're not on a high temperature, just a medium sort of temperature. Now that film is now adhering to the wooden frame as we go around. I'm going to try and keep my arms out the way for view of the camera. Turn it round, do the same the other side. I'm going to try and do it a bit quick, otherwise it's going to be a rather boring video. But this is just to give you an idea. It's quite simple covering really. You've just got to have a go. If you've never tried it before, a lot of people are frightened for no reason really. Get yourself a good sharp blade in your scalpel. Swan Norton I'm using there. And it's more or less like wrapping a Christmas present. So I'm now going to relieve the corners on my cutting board like so. This is just so we can fold the film round on the corners. Quite easy. I'm going to do the same on the radius corners. I'm just going to iron that over now so you can see. So now we're gradually going to iron it over down the length like so. Quite simple. It's really important to get the edges sealed down, because when you apply the heat into the middle of the frame to stretch the plastic covering, you can have some accidents where it actually peels away and shrinks away, and you get into all sorts of bother. So I'm using a pair of scissors actually on this, just to trim the excess material away like so. Hope I've got this in camera shot. And then we're just going to go down the edge just to make sure that we've got it there. That looks pretty good. We'll do the same on these corners, and so we can fold over the edges. Obviously we've got a radius corner on this, so we will do little wedge shaped cuts. I'll show you that in a second when we're closer to the camera. We'll do wedge shaped cuts like so. So I don't know if this will actually show up, but we have made a flared sort of wedge shaped cut. This is so we can go around this radius here. But at the moment we're just sticking to folding it round on the easy bits really. So we'll fold it round the frame and we'll iron it in position like, whoops, like so. So like I say, the temperature of the iron isn't too hot at the moment, so that's why I'm having to sort of play it over the edge like this. So just a slight movement sort of like this to drag the film forwards like so. We'll do the other side as well, and then we'll do some trimming. Oops, I've folded it over. So we'll just bend it over like so. Really it's just down to practice. I'm not going to say I'm the best coverer in the world. I'm certainly not by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it's just a case of having a go, trying it, seeing what works best for yourself, perhaps picking up a few tips from videos like I've made, and hopefully you'll get some decent results without too many failures. So now I'm using the scalpel blade, just for easiness sake. You could use scissors if you're really careful. Trim it off. Like I say, the secret is put a brand new blade in every time, because this stuff does snag. It's quite easy generally to cut if you've got a decent blade, but when it starts snagging, you can make a mess of your really good model. All the hard work that you've put into it will be ruined, because obviously people only see the finishing bits. So I'm just cutting the excess material away from those radius corners. I'll do that on both rads. I'll show you when we're closer. Like so. We're not being too careful. Oops, we're not being too careful. You know, it's nothing too difficult. We haven't got to be precision here. Folded it over slightly there. That's it. So now we're going to iron round the radius, and what we do is take one little segment at a time that I've cut, and you will progress round without too many creases. That's the name of the game. Sort of iron around the radius to make sure it's fully stuck down. Do the same to the other half the other side I mean. So do those little wedge shaped pieces, iron them over, make sure they are adhered to the radius, like so, and then it's just a matter of trimming those off. So back to the cutting board, trim them off. You have to be a little bit careful. So now we're just down to the stretching stage to get the skin tight. Now there's two methods of doing this. You can use the iron on simple pieces like this, or you could use a hot air gun. But on a framework, to be honest, I tend to like using the iron because it's not so fierce as using the gun. So what I'll do now is just hover it out. Obviously I'd normally do this on the bench, but I'm going to hold it up for the camera. Just hover the iron over just to get a little bit of shrinkage over the area. Turn it over, it's not fully shrunk on that side. Turn it over, just hover your iron over like so. Turn it back. Patience is the name of the game when covering. A little bit of patience, which I must admit I haven't got a lot of. So turn it back. This is just stopping the framework from warping. And what I'll actually do, I'll put it on the surface now, and I'm going to iron down the woodwork in the middle just so that film adheres to the wood, and it'll stop it wrinkling up in the summer as well when it gets into the sunshine outside, if we ever get some sunshine. It's actually snowing outside, that's why I'm in the workshop today. So that's about it. It probably just wants another tickle, to be honest, but just to speed it up. You can see that that part is now complete. Dead simple. Dead simple. So have a practice, have a go, see what you think. Please leave feedback to the video. If you like the video series, please like and subscribe. And I hope to see you all for the next video, which will probably be covering the wing and starting to fit the radio gear. Okay guys, thanks for watching.